It's November 24th, 2021. I got a text message this morning from NYCJA. I don't know what that is. It says something about criminal court. I have some kind of woman that I contact through the law system that a legal aid of some sort, that they had assigned, but she called me the day before we did a phone call in the last time. And that was the process again, supposedly this time. I did not sign up for any text messages through the court system for this particular incident. So I'm a little confused why I'm getting sent text messages from a service I've never signed up for, and I don't know what's involved. It says something about JP1. No idea what that is. No idea how to find out about these things. And the person assigned to me that I've had personal contact with has not called me to inform me that this whatever is real. So it's a little confusing and concerning if it's a scam or not, and how to tell the difference with this new technology and with spam and scam on the rise. Now, I saw this morning on one of the news television programs, they have a NASA planetary defense person, and they do applied physics in a laboratory. Now, what's interesting is they work for some company called NASA, NASA, which I've seen the brand advertised on television. However, the woman speaking had a brand logo of John Hopkins something or other. Now, John Hopkins is a local, I think, hospital or university of some sort. I really don't know because, again, I've never attended there before. But so now I'm a little confused. So I'm trying to do something called core logic, where I have one star. I'm only able to see what's in the point of view around my person. And then I've got my star and a star before me in mitochondrial DNA, which is shared with my mother from her point of view into my existence. And then I've got my star and another star, which is anything that I grew in my body cavity and brought into this world that I share a special connection with, which is represented by the second star. So now there's some circle and there's some communication between my stars, being my mother, myself, and my children. But other than that, the assumption is that I'm trying to read landscape because there's no communication other than this television service for what's going on, and there's no instructions as to where to tune in to find what is happening around the local municipality at any time. So now it's a little confusing. I see that there's city employees. I see city trucks. I see a lot of privately advertised companies, delivery trucks coming and going, but there's no set person in the walkable community that's been advertised or has been pronounced to find out what the local ordinance changes are, what the global changes are, domestic policy, foreign policy. We don't have any of that in our local area to be able to keep ourselves safe. So it's a little confusing because I see a whole lot of drug advertising on the television with different diseases and different drug companies and therapies and all that stuff. But even the brands that's coming at us as a consumer, I feel very exposed. I don't feel very protected, honestly, because there's no real education to explain who's involved with what and what's safe and what's not safe. And if there's a certain something that should be followed, a certain plan that should be followed, because currently there's no plan set out, there's no schedule set out, there's no, like, there's pieces, almost like a broken meteor. I heard the NASA defense gentleman, he mentioned it's like buckshot as opposed to a missile. So now how do you protect yourself from buckshot with this asteroid theory at a physics applied lab at a NASA level? Are they supposed to protect our domestic policy and work with foreign? Or is that, I mean, is NASA just ours? Because when I see NASA, I see they work with they have flags that they put in their movies, in Hollywood, in the television advertising, in the news programs. They have different flags that they wear. So now, are they just our domestic, or are they foreign as well? I mean, like, again, that gets confusing, and this is really more of a rhetoric question. I don't really need the answer. It's just as long as somebody, some authority within knows in order to protect the people. Because I am part of this we the people, but I feel I've been very isolated from the we the people. And it gets confusing how to protect oneself amongst this we the people when there's no way to really, there's no, I don't know, I don't even, it's almost like it's just outside of my reach where the answers lie, and I don't know how to access safely in order to keep myself safe, in order to teach my children safety measures. It's just really confusing. I mean, Linda watches a lot of television, but the messages coming through as I try to peek into her world, my star before my star existed, does not really have any clear messages. They have some overcast, like ribbon wrapped, secretive way of communicating, which I'm not really clear on. I just don't know where the message is coming from and what it's intended. It's like a psychological trap almost is what it feels like, from a consumer point of view that has no choice and who's also been locked out of employment. And again, I don't know if I became this target somehow from these essays that we were asked to write, but not really. I mean, my parents were not involved in these essay writings. They brought us to school and they quietly asked us to write essays. They collected the essays and then the essays disappeared. My parents were not informed. There was no consent. There was no, can we have a sample of your child's writing and submit it for something elsewhere? There was nothing like that. And there's been no, I hear on like this show, Family Feud, they say that they have like survey says, like there's surveys. Now where are those surveys? Because I've never been surveyed. There's been no telephone surveys. There's been no federal or United States of America postal surveys given. There's been no access to this survey system. So it's a little confusing. I don't know how that works either. I hear it exists. I just don't know for whom and how to become a participant. So you're part of this social network, because it has not been laid out in a way that's been easy to join or been easy to even learn about I mean, I don't even know where a near, again, like, I don't even have the words, because my mom and dad don't know. It's just so isolating. It's very confusing, and it's very heartbreaking, honestly, because I mean, I need employment and be able to take care of myself, but I don't even know how to join into an outlet. I mean, I've had employment before. It's just due to moving and certain circumstances with my children. I needed to stay home because I couldn't afford the house and the daycare and the little salary that the secured jobs offered, because the money mechanics didn't work. So I had to go back to real estate. So then when you go back to real estate, then there's no job security. And it's been this back and forth, and it's been caught between a rock and a hard place. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And then I read something on one of the science, the physics things that they write and they put out there. And I'm thinking to myself yesterday, I'm like, now that physics paper works on certain physics principles, but it's not a universal works for all in a multiverse situation. So now that gets really confusing as well. And then I was thinking about communicable disease, and herd immunity is what they say. Now, is that when you speak something and somebody doesn't understand and then they take an action against you? Is that what herd immunity is? And then they think like your idea or whatever is a threat to them? But what if what they're saying is to help the grander schematic and cover safety protocols because people are being hurt by this thing that somebody else is trying to protect? I mean, like, again, I don't know how that works. I think that's where that grander schematic of applied physics works. But it is also a skewable SKEW. It's like a UPC, like a universal protocol, where it can cover where needed in order to protect a person that's able to think abstract and about self and others, and then the relation, and try to figure out what's broken and how within one's own environment and how to report that safely, which is what I feel that I've done, but I'm not quite sure in this crazy world that has been built of people jumping to all the wrong conclusions. I mean, my core logic works very differently than other people's core logic. That much I'm aware of. But that's why I only wanted a small one-person audience to receive my YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram messages. So this way there would not be an open involvement or a room for interpretation, because I want to make sure that it protects and doesn't further hinder or hurt my one position in this really painful radiological outcome that have not been able to avoid, no matter how I try to fit into society, how I try to work within their, get a job, pay your taxes, buy a house, buy a car, like just function like one of them. And I've done that before. I've tried to, although that didn't work out because the money mechanics weren't there, where I wasn't able to qualify for enough income in order to even self-sustain. So it's been a really rough back and forth attempt at trying to fit in and trying to go with the flow, but the flow just, it wasn't enough and isn't working in tributary. So I don't know then how to be part of the action for change and for better and for help and safety of myself and my children, because I don't know what we're up against, because I'm sitting in a blind where I'm uniquely deaf and I'm uniquely blind, because the greater universe outside of my small 2-star linear time frame has been held in a position where, I mean, like, I can even see right now the light refracting and pulling, but it's very, very confusing from inside this core logic position without definitive, finite, definitive protocol and instruction as to how and what to do, to say. And I mean, it's horrible. It's like a world without boundaries. I'd like a little bit of boundary, and not like get in trouble and then find out the boundaries. It would have been nice if the humans and the adults and the earthlings could have presented the boundaries at onset, so this way it would have been easier to live within. And as it changed, it would have been nice to have been updated as to where to look for the information, how to keep safe, or who to turn to, and who my safety guards are, or safety guardianship are. Because even their they say that there's things in place, but not, I mean, the advertising does, but the advertising is very confusing. It seems like all these mixed signals and messages, and there's so many of them coming at you at one point. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And Speyside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.